1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5. Or let's sing that in harmonics. 1 ninth, 5th, ninth, 1 ninth, 5th, ninth, 1 third, 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 third. Yeah, harmonic astrology is super weird. I'm going to get into that a little bit probably at the end of this, because when I start speaking musical harmony on top of astrology, it's jargon on jargon and just takes us into strange places of the dream. But there was an amazing thing I discovered this morning when contemplating November 30th and the 30 days of November, but the 31 days of December, and kind of the weirdness of the Gregorian calendar and all, which was to, as I've been doing lately, kind of chasing down some harmonics that are alive now in the chart. And specifically today on Thursday, Jupiter's day, with Jupiter in Taurus and in conjunct the teacher of that land, who is Venus. I wanted to see how far apart they were, and the answer was not 150 degrees. That's the angle measurement of a quincunx. It's 5/12ths of the wheel, but rather 18 degrees shy of that number, 132 degrees, which turns out to be 11/30ths of the zodiac. So it felt super appropriate to speak about November 30th and the weirdness of the Gregorian calendar and all this. And so here we are. So I'm going to start there. We'll talk time a little bit, and then we're going to get into time. But specifically vibrating time, cycles per seconds and hertz and things. And we'll get back and we'll do a little wassailing together. Here we go, Decembering, almost. So can I play Christmas music? I do have like a ornament-sized zit on my head, and sadly picked like an ornament-sized tick out of the cat this morning. And he had tried to himself last night, and it was all like, it was a tough space. So anyway, that's how my day began. And then it was a little bit of the chart, trying to sit down and compose an email that will go out to my list. So please be on it. You can sign up at GeminiBread.com. I do not send emails often, but I will be sending an email list to my email to my list hopefully today, with a Zoom link to join Eric Deutsch, master pianist Eric Deutsch, myself, this Sunday, for some live soul song work, where we're going to actually have some folks on the screen. If you're on my list, you might be the lucky one if you choose to share your chart publicly, or maybe lucky three. We'll probably bring a few people on and talk about kind of hard parts of your chart, and then we'll enter them musically. Because when we see tension, things like this in our musical map, that's the T square, to speak astrologically. There's always space for release. We just throw a little trine in there. And you often see this in charts, that there's a kind of a square tension that has a release to a trine place. And so working this with folks musically offers a body-mind, a sensual opportunity to tune into some of the complexes of the natal chart, some places where perhaps the soul has come to dance to these beautiful energies of tension and release. Yeah? You don't hear much tension in the Christmas music, you know. And as well as all the lights and the cheer everywhere, perhaps that's just to help us avoid the power of wintering and going into our own personal darkness. I don't know. But let's do that together, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get some production notes Eric's way before our jam on this Sun's Day, to create a song for the upcoming solstice. so we can hear that musically. Selena, I'm seeing it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Glad you're spending a little bit of time wassailing with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. No, 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5. All right, before we do all that, let's talk about 30s and 31s. Did you learn this trick in school? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Wait, no, it just ends there. And if you're on a knuckle, if you're on a ridge, then it's 31 days, like January, March, May, July, and August, right, before you go back again. And if you're in a dip, then it's a day of 30, except for this weird thing, February, which is 28 or sometimes 29 in leap years, as it will be next year in 2024. What weirdness is that? The 29 at least is probably a throwback and maybe even honoring of an older calendrical system of solely lunar months that want to align the months to the actual phases of the moon. And by the way, that's kind of a tricky thing to do. You see? Because why? Because the average, and it's an average, lunation, meaning new moon to new moon, is 29 and a half days long. It's even trickier because it turns out to be 29.53059 days. But let's stick with 29 and a half. What would you do if you want to do a 29 and a half day month? I mean, you could start a month at sunrise and 29 and a half days later end that month at sunset and begin that next month at sunset, and 29 and a half days later end that month and begin the next with sunrise. But that's like a little too much. So what you do is you simply alternate between months of 29 days and months of 30 days. Because 29-30, 29-30, 29-30 will keep that 29 and a half day pace. Okay, there's an issue here because 12 such months is only 354 days long. The quote-unquote silver year. Silver year, silver year. And that, of course, is not 365 and about a quarter. And so you have an issue with the strange hiccup between silver and gold, or like a lunar year, solely lunar year, and the Earth-Sun year of seasons and such. And so there's great calendar kung fu that has been performed over the ages to find the timing that synchronizes the silver and gold. And that's kind of a long story, and it's not the one for today anyway, though it is something I love to teach. I will be, by the way, teaching natural time and realigning to cosmic cycles at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles in February. If you want to hang out in person, this thing looks amazing. If you're on my list, by the way, I'll be sending out a link today that if you join through that, I get a little extra back rub. So please be on my list. Again, that's at GeminiBrett.com. I will also be sending out a link to let you know about the Turning of the Ages Mystery School Symposium that's coming out, looking ahead to 2025. Will America survive? I don't think it's called that, but my talk might be called that. All right, anyway, let's talk about 11:30 and 12:31. And to my European friends or people anywhere besides the United States, today, of course, is the 30th day of November, right? So why not speak the smaller thing first? 30, 11, 23 days, month, year, right? That seems to make sense. Regardless, when I get back to the knuckle calendar I learned in school and I start on the ridge of January, so January has 31 and February doesn't. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August, both 31. What's up with that? Well, they say it's because of Julius and Augustus. July, August, September, October, November. November's in the dip. November has only 30 days. Now, is this Gregorian thing just a mess? of course, the Gregorian Advent came to resynchronize this Julian framework of time, the Julian calendar, with the actual year. The Julian calendar was 365.25 years, 365 and a quarter days, which is not true. And so what they were doing is just a leap year every 4 years, a leap day every 4 years, like we do, right? But there's a little extra kung fu that's been rubbed in since the Gregorian Advent, which is you have a leap year every 4 years unless the year is divisible by 100, unless the year is also divisible by 400. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but it's basically trying to realign a calendar system to the actual golden year, the Earth-Sun year, the revolution of our planet about the light, which is not 365 and a quarter days, but like 364.242199 and change. And it gets really tricky to deal with weird decimals or fractions like this. Yeah. The calendar system these days actually does a pretty good job. Now, you'll be told that like the Julian Gregorian thing was intentionally created to bring you out of harmony, that there's actually 13 moons in a year. There aren't. That like this 30, 31, 30, 31 thing is just a mess. And it's like literally consciously created to take you out of harmony and force you into a cacophonous experience of time that has no rhyme or reason to its weird, improportionate seasons. But there is something here, right? Look, 365.242199 days a year is really tricky to deal with. How about 360 degrees a year? As we honor the Earth circling, really ellipsing, but circling the sun, or from Earth's point of view, the sun circling us, moving through the constellations, moving through, I would say much more importantly, the signs. What are the signs? 12 parts. We divide the circle into 12 equal slices of 30 degrees, and there's a very important reason why. Creation creates in 12s. He holds the seed of life up to the cameras. The 6 around 1, the 7 that make 12. Now there's astronomical essence behind 12 months in a year, because there are about 12 months in a year if you're following the phases of the moon, but there's actually 12.37 and there's a whole thing, you know? But it's likely that because our first zodiacs were lunar and the phases of the moon were so important to keeping time. Let's hold up the selenite and Selene on our friend's birthday. But I hear more in the sister science of musical harmony, and certainly see more in the sister science of geometry, that creation creates in 12s. It's undeniable. So we take the wheel and we divide it into 12 equal slices, which is just as natural as it gets. It's not a human construct, this zodiac thing, as you will be told. That's nonsense, right? And we follow the sun moving through 12ths of the path, 30 degrees of the circle. And by the way, because Earth's orbit is not a circle, but rather an ellipse, the sun takes a different amount of time to move through Aries than he does through Taurus or Gemini or Cancer or any of the other beings. The sun moves fastest through Earth's zodiac in Capricorn and slowest in Cancer. And the reason why? Because Earth is closest to the sun in January, around the turning of the year, if you're into that whole Gregorian trip anyway. And we're furthest away in July. So when we're closest to the sun, we're moving faster. And that means in our point of view, the sun's moving faster, right? So the sun doesn't move through Capricorn the same amount of time that the sun moves through Aquarius. It's close, We say the sun moves about a degree per day, and the thing you'll be taught, right, is 365 days in a year. That's close. And 360 degrees in a circle, so 365.242199 and 360, they're really close. Yeah? I mean, the 360 degree calendar is in a sense much more perfect. 360, to use the mathematical term, is an abundant number, where 365 is a deficient number. 365.242199, even more so deficient. So you who follow the sun through the equal sign zodiac, and especially I would suggest Earth's zodiac, which is the tropical zodiac, aligned to the tropics, and to the pole of Earth, who defines the cardinal direction, that world tree that maybe you're honoring in your house at this time of the year, whether you know it or not. If you're following the sun through the tropical signs, you're really doing natural time that I describe as the 12 months of the year. Right? It has nothing to do with the moon, with the months, with the phases, or the moon swimming through the stars, the sidereal month, or through the signs, the tropical month, right? So we should have moon in month. Do you agree? But there is something beautiful and true to a sunth, to the sun moving through a 12th part of his path, of the ecliptic. By the way, maybe the son of man, should I say the son of human, and his 12 apostles? Oh! Is it the sun in our sky in the 12 signs? Yes, it is. And by the way, I will be doing my kind of annual, the Christmas and Hanukkah mysteries describing sacred astronomy sometime this year. I'm not exactly sure when it will be, but please, again, sign up at my mailing list. I promise I won't mail often. I should mail more, but that you can do at geminibrett.com. I'll be sending out an email hopefully today with an invite to join live the Soul Song happening with Eric Deutsch and myself this Sunday, which will take place at 3:00 p.m. Pacific time. It will be 5 p.m. in Mexico City, where Eric Deutsch resides. And we are going to work with some folks live in particular parts of their natal charts to kind of hear that musically, which I have found really offers opportunities for deeper understanding and breakthrough. And hopefully, if I can get it together, you will also hear a song based upon the chart for the coming solstice. Solstice, by the way, being an actual moment of time that is global. Unlike a January 1st at 12 a.m. Who's 12 a.m.? Yeah? So I'm all about aligning to natural time, and one of the ways is just following the sun through the signs. If you're doing that, by the way, and also celebrating new and full moons, you are doing golden time and silver time. And you can leave all the fucking fractions and stuff out of it. But for me, I'm very interested in the numbers, and hence the name of this jam of 30 11ths. So why? Let's get back to that. Now, how long does it take for the sun to move through a sign? Have you looked? Oh, we say the sun moves at about a degree per day. Signs are 30 degrees, so like 30 days, right? Okay, well, what's the average amount of time? Work with the actual solar year, the tropical year. 365.242199 days divided by 12. What do you get? 30.44. Kind of like 30 and a half, which is that number right in between 30 and 31, son. And so when people like rebel against the whole Gregorian weirdness, and like it's just the patriarchy trying to take us away from a harmonious, like all they're doing is celebrating the fucking light, the earth and the sun, which you better do if you like things like life, because food, because plants or animals, they're going to follow the sun. And I suggest you to too. So the whole Gregorian thing of switching between 30 and 31, it's not as like imbalanced as you might think. It's just honoring the average time for the sun to move through a sign, through a 12th part. So it's not about the moon, it's not about the moons. It's a tricky thing to try to play with cycles of gold and cycles of silver simultaneously. It takes 19 years or even 76 for the two to synchronize. More about that at another time. But if we want to simply honor the sun moving through the signs, alternating between months of 30 and 31 helps you keep pretty close to this 30 and a half day average time for the sun through the signs. Now, the sun's fastest in January and slowest in July, and so maybe it would make more sense for us to, like in July, have some of the like longer months, like 31 days back to back. Oh, fuck, we do. Yeah, so when you're told that the whole Julian calendar is just Caesar's patriarchal thing to take you out of like natural experience, you might want to just pause a little bit and maybe join the School of Earth Astrology, where you can learn things about Earth time, natural time. I see so many people saying that we're not doing time right, and they're like, so do this. Do the 28-day lunar month. There's no 28-day lunar month, you fool. Well, it's the average of the 27-day month and the 29-day. There's no 27-day month. There's no 29-month. In nature, and averages get weird. Hence things like alternating between 30 and 31-day months. Anyway, so I want to speak about that a little bit. Happy November 30th, the last day of a short month before we enter December 31st. And interestingly, another place where we get 2 31-day months in a row, and maybe that's not the right place to do it, who's to say. There's definitely some weirdness in choosing to double up on your 31s because of Julius and Augustus, for whom July and August are named, and maybe actually because the sun's moving fastest at the time. That would be a place to put 30 and 30 back to back, but hey, can't give the short month to Caesar, right? So I'm not saying there isn't a little bit of, or maybe a lot bit of, imperial corruption in time in our calendar. I'm just saying it's a lot more natural than you'll be told to buy like the new cage. All right, very biased. All right, so let's talk about harmonics a little bit, because this is a fun thing that's happening today. Here we go, wassailing. Here we go, harmonicking. It's going to get a little bit weird, friends. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, where I can actually share some charts, I'm going to show you the 30th harmonic chart of today, November 30th, 2023. If you're into that whole Gregorian trip anyway. And by the way, friends, my YouTube channel is Gemini Brett. It's probably a better place to watch these things live, or especially if review them, if you don't want to spend long time with me. I should say that at the beginning of these things, but I think even saying that word YouTube means nobody's ever going to see it here or whatever, because, capitalism. Anyway, there, of course, you can rewind and fast forward and bookmark, comment here, comment there, whatever. I'm actually in 2 places at once, and supposedly at some point in the not too distant future, I'll be able to share charts here at Instagram as well. So if you're on the YouTube side, you're looking at in a 30th harmonic chart for 11:30 a.m. on 11:30, right? Which just felt cute. I did choose New York, because it was a time that places Venus and Jupiter more closely in the 30th harmonic. Okay. So why the 30th harmonic at all? Because of that. And let me show you how I got there. I was looking at this morning before this moment because it was probably 6 a.m. here Eastern time, so 9 a.m. in New York. If you're into that whole time zone trip, man. Anyway, and I was looking at Jupiter because, hey, it's Jupiter's day. It's Thursday. Jupiter who rejoices in the 11th. You know, I'm not exactly sure what wassailing is, but I'm sure it is a Jupiter thing. Maybe it's caroling? Does somebody want to let me know in the comments section? What the heck is wassailing? Y'all want to go wassailing tonight? Ursula, I see you here. I'd love to wassail with you. You want to go wassailing? I'll come down to Mexico City. I'll do this thing live with Eric. Right? Go do some wassailing. I'm not sure what wassailing is, but I'm sure it's a Jupiterian thing because Jupiter is very joyful. And Jupiter, therefore, is the planet associated with the 11th house in astrology. Jupiter is said to rejoice in the 11th. Maybe it's November. I don't know about that, but why, right? Because social, group, hope, dreams, good spirit was a name for the 11th place. Yeah. So I'm thinking of Jupiter today because it's Thursday, it's Jupiter's day, and Jupiter is here in Taurus, right? Now, when I see planets in Taurus, I'm like, all right, what's their relationship with Venus? And what's Venus up to right now? Because that's her world. And Venus right now is in her other home across the way in Libra, which is not across the way. It's a neighbor to the opposite sign from Taurus, which of course is Scorpio. And this is a quincunx, 5/12 of the circle from Taurus. This is Libra in one direction and Sagittarius in the other. And these are places that are said to be blind spots or inconjuncts. This happens to relate to optic reality because we have lacunas in our vision at 150 degrees. That's because the human optic nerve intersects the eyeball at that angle. Stereoscopic vision leaves us of that aversion or that blind spot or that inconjunct. But this is where this comes from astrologically. There's actually a biological resonance and reality to this, right? One thing I like to do recently is play with harmonics all over the place. And so when I look at Venus and Jupiter and inconjunct signs, yeah, by plates, platic, which means whole signs, the plates. But partile, which is degree-based, they're not 150 degrees apart, not even kind of. They're 132 degrees apart. In fact, when I was looking at this morning, they were exactly 132 degrees apart. 18 degrees shy of that 150. Venus at 25 Libra. Jupiter at 7 Taurus. Well, from 7 Taurus, I would go, or let's go from 25 Libra. I would go to 25 Taurus for the 150 degree angle, the quincunx, 5/12 of the wheel. Well, 25 is not 7. I have to subtract 18 to get to 7, where Jupiter is in Taurus. What's 150 minus 18? And the answer is 132. Okay, and the calculator plays, I simply divide the wheels 360 degrees by that arc of 132, which produces this number 2.7272. And I'm sadly nerdy enough at this point to see 11s in that. If I multiply that weird number by 11, I get 30. Let me show this in another way. What's a 30th of the wheel? That's kind of easy math. What's 360 divided by 30? What's 360 divided by 12? Any astrologer should know 30. 12 30-degree signs. If 360 over 12 is 30, then friends, 360 over 30 is 12, right? So a 30th of the zodiac is 12 degrees. All right, well, what's 11 30ths? What's 11 of those slices? And the answer is 132. 11 times 12. And so Venus and Jupiter are currently separated by 11 30ths of the zodiac. Today on 11:30, November 30th. And so, of course, I had to cast a chart for 11:30 a.m. I chose New York because planets move. And especially in high harmonics like the 30th, things come in and out of phase quite quickly. I mean, fascinatingly, if I cast this for 11:30 a.m. in Richmond, California, as I originally had, for that is where I sit, then cast a 30th harmonic of that chart I find out that the moon is in that picture. Moon who moves so quickly, well, she moves 30 times faster in the 30th harmonic. All right, well, what is the 30th harmonic? I have a minute before my bell rings here and have to get to readings for the day, which is what I do, by the way, GeminiBrett.com if you'd like to support my work. There's the 30th harmonic, musically. Because harmonic astrology comes from the harmonic series, which we can hear in things like a flute. And the 30th is 2 times 15, or 2 times 5 times 3. Now the third harmonic is a musical fifth. There's that alarm. I have found before that once the alarm rings, maybe one of these places I can no longer be heard. That's fine. I know here I can be. Hello. That's a musical fifth. And it happens from the third harmonic. It actually happens in this way. Watch. You just heard the third harmonic. You just heard the first, second, and third. You'll notice I'm not moving my fingers anymore. I'm actually just moving things inside of me, as within, so without, and actually then allowing you to hear the different frequencies within the frequencies. This is the first harmonic, the fundamental. This is the second harmonic. It's called the octave because it's the 8th scale tone, which is the same note as the bottom note in the next range. It's the most consonant frequency, and it's one of the challenges of trying to get after astrology through harmonics in music, because we would expect two-ness, which in astrology we associate with the opposition, to be kind of dissonant or harsh, and it's actually the most consonant interval. So maybe some challenges of doing this in this way. Anyway, the second harmonic and the third harmonic, you can just look at that relationship, 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. But let me show you, if I take this flute and I play 2/3 the length of the flute by lifting up some fingers, like this distance is 2/3 of this distance. That's the musical fifth. Which is found in the harmonic series through the third harmonic. It's the next most consonant interval, and it's like at the heart of Pythagorean wisdom and Western harmony. So the 30th harmonic is 2 and 15. Well, 15 is 5 and 3. If you know something about quintiles, it's a trine and a quintile kind of combined. It's like the spirit of art, or the art of spirit. It's very triumphant and beautiful in some ways. But if you know something about musical harmony, well, the third harmonic brings the musical fifth. The fifth harmonic brings the musical third. And it's what brings major, triumphant happiness to the scene. All right? Let me speak music a little bit. The third of the fifth is the major seventh. So the 15th harmonic is major seventh. It like makes things even more major. Now there is a tension that comes in what we call a half step or a half tone. Yeah, like that's in that mix of the 15th. People don't know this. People associate the 15th with the 5th. The 10th and the 5th are the same note. The 20th, the 40th, the 80th, we can always double. That's just going octaves. So 5, 10, 20, 40, 80, 160, right? But once you throw a 3 in, an odd, you get a different note in the harmonic series. The third of the 5th interestingly, musically is a fifth. So the third of the fifth is what happens through looking at the fifth harmonic and the third together, and it's the major seventh. So like just saying the key of C, if you speak music, the fifth is the G, the third of G is a B, right? B is the major seventh of C. Now, that's all 15. What about 30? 30 is us talking about this together, us doing this together, us creating music together, us making major together. And so while Venus and Jupiter might be in conjunct, and Taurus and Libra are in the sense of true in conjunct because there's no contra and Tisha, they are, however, like and girding. They're both Venusian signs. Venus and Jupiter are not separated by 5/12ths of the chart, but rather by 11/30ths here on 11:30. At 11:30 in New York, it just happened, which means I need to fly because I'm at a reading right now. Hopefully that's been fun for you. If you like the video, please like the video, share it around, do the things, support the work. Find me at GeminiBrett.com. Sign up for my mailing list. I'll be sending out a mail later today about many events coming up, including this Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific, live soul song work with me, Eric Deutsch, and amazing folks, maybe you. Hope to see you there.